Lisa, our annual member satisfaction survey, come on up.
I'll move down a bit. Okay.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm happy to have the opportunity to share with you the results from our annual member satisfaction survey. I think I've spoken with most of you before on this, and I'm sure that you'll recall that we conduct this research once a year. We do it in conjunction with Thomas Ferris, and the purpose of the research is really to gain some understanding and insight into our members' experience. So we have things that we look at on a regular basis, satisfaction and now engagement, and then every year we take on some new topics that we hope will be relevant and informative. Before we jump into the results, the numbers and the stuff that I like, I want to give a sincere appreciation and thank you to the people that have been working on this project. Jay Thomas has teamed with us for 12 years. He was here for quite some time before I appeared on the scene, and the research has really grown over the years, and he's provided a tremendous amount of support in making that happen. Michael Whitehead and the research team have really delved in this year to try and achieve better understanding around retirement readiness, and it's been a huge effort. And Veronica Espinoza and the communications team have completely reworked the slides. So without further ado, we can get started, and it's the most sincere appreciation for everyone that's helped. I have some key points that I want to review. Before I speak about those, I just want to give you some sense of the reach of this effort. We mailed out 31,000 surveys, and when I say mail, we really emailed them. So this is an electronic survey effort. The sample is a stratified random sample to try and get representativeness of the membership. We heard back from 1,976 members, so we had good representation in each of the strata that we wanted to look at. With that sort of representation at a 95% confidence interval, we have a margin of error of about 2%. So we have pretty strong confidence in the numbers that we're going to look at.
So a response rate of 6% is considered good?
Quite typical for an electronic survey that we do not provide an incentive for people to participate.
They don't get a gas card or a gift
Correct,
card?
correct. I don't have anything like that to offer. I do, however, whenever I speak to teachers, I try and speak up the surveys. If you get a survey from CalSTRS, be sure to participate. Your voice matters. And 6% is actually quite reasonable. And I think the point is that we do have good representation in the strata that we know make a difference. And then we wind up with adequate responses in each of the subsections that we like to look at. We do, as I mentioned, we keep an eye on overall satisfaction and engagement every year. Those scores tend to be fairly stable numbers, and they remain so this year. Service performance is one of those opportunities, and we will speak about that when I get to that point in the presentation. We can talk a little bit about what we're seeing there. Things that changed this year. We measure staff performance and service performance with a set of items, maybe half a dozen or so in each grouping. Those items have been standardized now on this survey and on every survey that assesses member experience throughout the organization. The value of that is that responses are very comparable survey to survey, which represents experience to experience. And that's been useful to us. It's nice to be able to look at this annual data and then dig back and look at what's happening at specific touch points with members. We've also added a set of questions exploring retirement readiness, and I'm excited when we get to that part of the presentation. I'm excited to share those results with you. So here's the trend line for overall satisfaction. I mentioned that this data remains fairly stable year to year. Of note, 68% is the highest score that we've ever received, so that's very nice. And we track it. We've got 5 years of data here, but we've been looking at this data point for 12 years, and 68% is pleasant. You look at it's just kind of trending positively. There was a significant increase in the score after 2012, and that increase has been maintained every year following. So this slide really represents a concept, and I'll touch on it a number of times. Our data varies with life stage. And it's something that we see throughout the data, and it's actually something that we try to address with our actions. When members are younger, they tend to report. Fewer are reporting in that high satisfaction area, and it's not that they are
working.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're busy.
They're working. They're not enjoying their pension.
Yeah. And they're busy, and they're not unhappy. They're simply their scores. They simply kind of bunch up in that neutral area. What we know about our members is that as they approach retirement, they tend to interact with us more frequently, and those interactions tend to be positive, and then you see that uptick in the percentage of members who are highly satisfied. And we're going to talk a little bit for a couple of slides about interactions and what kinds of interactions our members are having with us. And I think the point of this slide is to really make it very concrete that interactions matter. If a member has had an interaction with us, 70% of those interacting with us give high satisfaction scores. If members have had no interaction with us in the past year, only 45% of those who aren't interacting with us give us those high levels of satisfaction. So interaction really is a part of that relationship.
Interaction defined by a member initiating with us and us responding, or vice versa, or both?
It's a great question, and really the answer is both. For the purposes of this research, we define an interaction as being any interaction with us, and you're going to see in a minute, but it includes just a member receiving our communications and saying that they've read our newsletter. From that kind of low mode methodology to as high of a level of direct interaction as having a meeting with a benefits specialist. So this answers the question of how our members interacting with us, and what I have for you are the top 3 ways that members have their interactions. The largest percentage of our members interact with us through reading our newsletter. 80% report reading it in the past year. And then 72% of members report that they visited our .com during the past year. And 69% of our members report that they visited My CalSTRS. And then the methods that follow after that are detailed in the report step down with the percentage of members interacting through those methods. So we asked members, if you've had an interaction with us in the past year, what was the primary reason that you had that interaction? And the data groups up kind of in a nice way and in an interesting way. Those members who are seeking information on how to prepare for their retirement, they are interacting with us through direct live interactions. So they're calling us, they're attending a workshop, they're visiting a member service center, or they're having a meeting with a benefits specialist. Those members who were simply seeking general information about CalSTRS are really interacting with us through self-serve methods. So they're visiting our websites, they're sending secure emails. Okay, so the research touches a number of topics. We're going to jump from talking about interactions to talking about staff and service performance measures. And what we did with the ask on the survey is we first asked members, did you interact with our staff? And if they said yes, and 19% of them did, then we asked them to tell us what their interaction was like with staff. The vast majority of members report having very positive experience with staff. And the questions about staff are here and on the next slide. The highest percentage of members, 89%, report that their interaction with staff, that staff were courteous. And then all of these scores remain in the 80s, except for one on the next slide. You'll see one in the 70s. But staff, members report staff are knowledgeable. They're knowledgeable about CalSTRS, they're knowledgeable about the questions that they have, and they're understanding. They understand their needs and what their questions are. These items relate to staff performance as well. 82% staff display a caring attitude. 81% of members say that staff took the appropriate actions. The one that stands out because of the way the numbers are, that 74% staff informed me of additional relevant information. It's not really something that we'd put in an opportunity category. We know from other surveys where members have an opportunity to comment on what does this mean. Really, they're having interactions that don't necessarily require additional relevant information, so it may be a simple request. Now we're going to look at the responses to service performance measures. And as I told you at the beginning of the presentation, there's some opportunity here. They're measures that we've been watching for year over for a couple of years. Even though there are opportunities, I want to stress that the majority of members still provide high agreement ratings that service performance is strong. The scores simply are lower than the staff ratings, and some of that has to do with the interaction. Members only rate staff performance who had a direct interaction with staff, but all of the survey respondents were asked to give ratings on the service performance. So we know that interaction has a play with those numbers.
Yeah, that just makes sense.
I'm sorry?
That makes sense intuitively.
Oh, very good. And I just wanted to pose that before I show you the numbers. So what you're going to see here are largely numbers in the 60%. Again, still the majority of members agreeing that service performance is high, and the numbers aren't as high as the staff ratings. So information provided by CalSTRS was easy to understand. That's the highest scoring item in this set, and I actually think that that's a strength because in terms of members receiving our messaging, having that messaging be easy to understand is very important. The answers to questions were thorough and information was consistent. Both score at 61%.
I will say, I was just reflecting on your comments and thinking, I just think there's so many cultural things at play too, because I do know, talking to members, that a lot of folks like to sit down with an actual person and have them, and there's something just reassuring about having an official CalSTRS person to talk to. And I know for me, honestly, I would be okay with a tele-counseling appointment, or I do a lot of things through technology now. And so I don't necessarily need a live body. And so I think there are trends and changes happening in terms of people's comfort level or how they rate satisfaction or how they feel, their needs are being served. And I think, technology definitely, everything's on my phone. I have an app for everything, and so I do think it'll be interesting to see, in the next 5 to 10 years, how some of this data will shift as our members, the demographics change in our members, and how we interact with CalSTRS changes.
And it's a fascinating concept. We're trying to keep an eye on that in the research, and things move, right? Technology shifts. And I think that preparing for retirement is such a personal and big event that having high confidence is incredibly important.
Absolutely.
And when I look at the scores that the satisfaction scores and the staff rating scores in the 90s that come out of the workshops and meeting with benefit specialists, to me, we in-house kind of say, those presentations, they're rocket fuel. People, like, it really resonates with our members. Okay, so this set of service performance items focuses on CalSTRS responsiveness, ease of reaching a representative when needed, as is at that bottom end, and we've really been addressing this and aware of it for some period of time. All right, so one more kind of topic jump. We're going to jump and speak a bit about member engagement. We've been tracking member engagement now for 5 years. We took on this effort because member engagement is a higher standard than satisfaction alone. Really, member engagement, that construct, if you recall, is a combination of members' rational assessment of our products and services, and then it adds that emotional attachment to the organization. And this is where the relationship with our members comes into play. This slide kind of reiterates what I just said. There's the products and services, delivering consistently and so on, and then the relationship aspects of trust and respect. And this is our member engagement score this year. I said at the beginning of the presentation, our numbers are very stable. We've watched that engagement score, which this year is at 57%. I think we started maybe in the low 50s, and we've watched it for 5 years kind of trend along. Similar to overall satisfaction being the highest score to date, 57% engaged is our highest score to date. And I don't have a slide on this, but interactions matter with engagement as well. So if you look at the two groups, if members have interacted with us, this number, I believe, bumps up to 67% engagement, and those members who haven't interacted with us bumps down, I think, to maybe the mid-50s, maybe right around 53%.
Lisa, I think if you could do a little bit more on this, because I think we're so used to seeing satisfaction percentages. You said, I heard you say it, well, this is a harder measure, a different bar, but it still begs the question, is that a good score? What does that compare to other businesses? Or how do you interpret that statistic, since it's a whole different metric and a whole different way of looking at a customer relationship? I think our brain is too set in satisfaction measures. So can you just tell us
Well,
what's
the educators in the room see 57% too, and they say that's like a D minus.
I know. I don't want to see my kid bringing home a 57.
Right,
so I can speak to it, and I actually have kind of new information that I don't even think I've shared outside just our immediate research team yet. So 57% says more than half are highly engaged. It definitely says there's an opportunity. We have in the past not benchmarked against other organizations because this is a very specific measurement that CalSTRS developed unique to us. We have struggled with this question of, well, is 57% good or not? since we started. And so we have made some effort to create a consortium of other pension companies, and we've kind of tried to talk them into joining us in measuring engagement in the same way. And this year, CalSTRS and 5 other pension companies, which doesn't sound like much, but prior to this, we only had 0. So we had 6 of us that collected data in an identical way. And where do we stand? We stand about where we would expect, knowing what we know about our data and those life stages. So we have lower engagement with the younger group and higher engagement with the people nearing retirement. So goes our comparison with the other people who joined the consortium. In the younger age deciles, we are near the bottom in engagement, but it's not a lot. Like, we're looking at fractions of numbers because we did the comparison on means, not on percentages. And as we near retirement, we move towards the top of engagement. And it's only 6 funds. And it's very preliminary. It's the first year. And the opportunity with forming a consortium is, and we haven't done this yet because I got the data maybe on Friday or Monday, just a few days ago. But we're going to reconvene as a group and we're going to have the conversation, right? So what are the other organizations doing for those young members? What may be unique about their pensions, right? And then we can share, clearly we have it well addressed as people near retirement. So hopefully that cross-pollination of ideas will be useful to everybody. And every year I go and plead my story. And so hopefully this year we'll have, once we have the published results of 6, then we'll inspire additional participation.
Are you able to share what those other pension funds are, or
I
are the
can.
other teacher fund? I'm just kind of curious if it's the same
They're-
demographic or.
They're quite different, and I think it's okay to share. I'll go out on a limb and share. Indiana PERS participated, Arizona, HESTA, which is the Australia. That was fun.
That's interesting.
And their
They're
fund.
DC, right? I mean, isn't HESTA DC?
I think the thing that's particularly unique about their fund is that their members have a choice. And Illinois as well, pension company in Illinois. So it was good, and hopefully that it's going to continue and it will grow.
Great idea.
Okay. And there's the life stage progression. And this is clearly a word cloud about those words that contribute to the construct of engagement.
I wanted to comment on, there were a couple, well, there's many slides that you shared today that I really like more of the infographics and less words on a slide. And I think I really liked your well, I don't know where we're at in the presentation, but so far that just, to me, figuring out how to communicate through the bar graphs and through charts and the infographics, is that the right term?
Yes.
To me is a very effective way of communicating this information, and it's more interesting to engage with as a board member than more of our traditional PowerPoint slides, which tend to be, bullet points with a lot of words. So I really like it, and I would love for us to move in that direction, I think, with a lot of our presentations, because they tend to be fairly word dense. And I just find I can look at one of these slides and get insight within a few seconds of looking at it versus having to read it. So well done on the presentation. I'm sure there's other people responsible for it, but I find it to be, I don't know if other board members feel that way, but it was a very engaging way to deal with some of the information in a quick and engaging way. So
It's
I like
wonderful. Thank you for the feedback. And I didn't make the slides. I don't know. Krista's sitting in the back. Did
Yeah,
Veronica
Krista, are you
come?
back?
So communications has really provided that support, and there was some nice partnership there.
Yeah, and the photos of the teachers and love that.
And
Those are real teachers, right?
Most of them are real
Most of them are real
teachers.
teachers. I like that. Okay.
All right. So I think that this is the last topic shift that I'm going to ask you to make. The next section of the research, we focused on retirement readiness, and this focus supports our strategic plan objective about improving members' retirement readiness. The research supports that objective in two ways. One, we collect performance metrics, and two, we're really studying carefully the relationship between engagement and retirement preparedness to understand how it works and to hopefully use it as a lever to improve preparedness. So the first thing that we did is we asked members if they were aware that of the potential need for additional income in retirement, income in addition to their defined benefit in order to meet their financial goals. And what you see is that 64%, if we add the aware and very aware, 64% of members report being either aware or very aware. And, is this good? Right? That would be the next question, hopefully. Well, it's the majority, and clearly there is some opportunity there because ideally we'd like 100% to have that level of awareness.
Denial or, just you're aware, but you could still not sign up for pension 2 or get a 403B, even if you're aware of it.
Yes, quite true. And if we've only got 64% aware, then as you move through, then you step down, and we have a bit of data on that as well.
I knew you would.
I'm so glad you asked.
I knew it, see?
All right, so what we see with awareness is that same age decile relationship. As people approach retirement age, more of them tend to become aware. So this is 77% of members reporting being aware or very aware, and those are our members who are 60 or older. And there's an opportunity here, right? There's an opportunity to connect with our younger members and increase their awareness of early retirement planning. So this takes the next step. So, right, people need to first be aware, and then they need to take action. And we've been really researching this concept for maybe three years hard at it, trying to understand, well, what do people need to do? And what we asked this time was, we asked all the people who responded, active members, have you estimated what you expect your defined benefit might be in retirement? Right? Like that might be the first step that they would take to move from awareness to action. 53% of active members say that they have made that estimate.
They just look right here, right? Isn't it in here too, their progress report?
Yes, right? That's the retirement progress report. Right. Then if members said, yes, we have estimated what our DB is going to be, then we ask them, well, have you estimated what your financial needs are going to be in retirement? And of that subset, 8 and 10 said that they had made that estimate. Then, of those who had estimated both their defined benefit and they had estimated their financial needs in retirement, the survey asked them, do you think your defined benefit is going to be sufficient to meet your financial needs? And a full 60% said no. They don't think that the defined benefit alone is going to be sufficient. And this is where our investigation into engagement comes into play. We are curious about, does it matter if you're engaged or not, and whether or not you wind up in that group that feels like their DB is going to be sufficient. And what we found was, of the members who are highly engaged, approximately 50% said that their DB will be sufficient, and 50% said that it wouldn't be. And the big swing is, of those who had low engagement, 0% said that they expected their DB to be sufficient. So there's really quite a strong relationship there. So we're going to skip back before we delved into the engagement and sufficiency, and go back to that group of members who said, the 60% who said they didn't expect that their DB would be sufficient to meet their financial requirements in retirement. We asked that group of people, well, what are you planning to do about it? How are you going to address your gap? What do you have planned? And their answers differed very specifically by age. Those 49 and under, their plan was that they were going to invest in supplemental savings accounts. And this is where our Pension 2 opportunity comes into play. We study in this particular piece of research members' awareness of Pension 2, and we've been tracking that over time. This year, we saw a 19% jump in awareness, with 44% of our members responding that they're aware or very aware of Pension 2. We attribute that to the efforts that are being made throughout the organization.
And there have been emails sent out to members, right? I mean, because I've gotten them, just sort of, and I think that, again, that to our point of like taking initiative, I think that's really
correct.
effective to get those emails. And then when people are thinking about it, they see the email and they read it, and hopefully. And so that kind of engagement, I think, is powerful.
That's great. Those 50 to 59, they're planning on working longer and delaying their retirement.
Yeah.
Right? Their situation's a little bit different than those who are younger and making their plan. And those 60 and over, they report that they're planning to work after retirement. So very telling based on what members' plans are, depending on where they are in their age decile. And that's all I have. I have a few wrap-up slides. Just the recap: satisfaction and engagement remain stable, and staff performance is strong. It's actually really strong. Member interactions with CalSTRS matter. And to that end, we have an increased focus on member financial awareness and workshop attendance. And we're continuing our emphasis on the importance of early retirement planning to address potential income gaps. And we have that opportunity to improve service performance. So we're continuing our commitment of securing the financial future of our members through the various efforts that we're all striving for, both in delivering products and services and making sure that we're connecting and having the relationship in order to support adequate retirement preparedness.
I would definitely love to hear in future sessions about like tangible ways we're really trying to reach the younger members around just getting them to engage and make some decisions, because I do feel like I just, again, just sort of talking to people, just people don't know what CalSTRS is. They don't know they have a pension. I mean, talking to new faculty, they just have no clue. I mean, they're focused on their students, which they should be. We just started classes last week, and they're doing their syllabus, and they're getting all excited about classes. So they're not thinking about all the paperwork that you have to sign when you first get hired, and so it's just a blur. So I just, the more we can get them at the front end, the better. So I'd love to hear more of the practical things we're doing to reach those 20, 30, 40 somethings. Great. I don't have any other questions from committee members, so thanks so much for the wonderful work and to the communication staff. Excellent presentation. I love the new graphics and stuff. It looks great.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Andrew and Ed. You're tag teaming this executive office report. Ed's he's already got one foot out the door, so he's just like, Andrew, you got it. I'm out of here.
All I'll say is just sort of point you toward the next Benefits and Services Committee meeting in April, where we will talk about the Triennial Health Benefits Survey. Rick Reed will talk about contribution and interest rates, factors and benefits. There will be a plan design implication on extending educator careers presentation, presenter to be determined, and then I will talk about the disability determination
Disability.
process. Yeah.
That's going to help us in appeals, right, Michelle?
Yes,
That's
that will be
great.
fairly involved.
That's well,
And I'd also just like to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Ed Durman for all of the support and guidance he's given me personally, as well as the staff and benefits and services over a long period of time. It's been very, very helpful, and I know we're going to miss him and his unique sense of humor very much. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
agreed. Well, I think the next 2 days will just be a long appreciation love fest to Ed Durman as he transitions. But yeah, thanks, Andrew.
You're welcome.
Ed, do you have any?
No, nothing.
Okay.
I have no rebuttal.
So, I guess, executive report, review of information requests. We don't have any information requests, right, Carolyn? I don't think so. We do, Rana?
There were a few
Or-
items that could be considered
Okay.
information requests,
Go ahead.
maybe just,
Sure.
so for agenda item 4, which was the member benefits planning services presentation by Andrew, compare what replacement pension 2 could provide, comparing between 2% at 60 versus 2% at 62, and the opportunities that could present to maybe getting people to participate in pension 2. And then also, it's also with agenda item 4, have a strategic initiative for counselors to reach out, target COEs, districts, and stakeholders, so to make sure that they know that counselors can come and make presentations on their site, and then also make short information videos that can be shared. And it was mentioned that that could be done within the next 1 to 2 years.
Thanks for keeping track of us. I really appreciate it. Thanks. And then the draft agenda, you kind of went through that, Andrew. The draft agenda, item 9. Are there opportunities for the public?
Yes, thank you. My name is Dave Davini, and I am working with retired school administrators in their group. And I'm very concerned and interested in benefits. As you know, the end-of-life costs are increasing for most of us who are still around on the planet. We know that our health care is increasing every year. Our other costs, in addition to health care, are also increasing. And one of the things we'd like, since this committee is now meeting, and I'm thankful and I appreciate the fact that the Benefit and Services Committee is meeting this year. We do have a couple of benefits that could improve our lives that are vested, that are important to us. One is the one-time death benefit. That is a vested benefit. It also has a vested way to improve it. We are not currently putting COLAs on that benefit. We should. Many retired people are finding their assets at the end of the life completely depleted. Death benefit could be an important benefit. We hope that this committee will give that serious concern, put it on the agenda, and discuss pros and cons and needs. The second vested benefit that I'm very interested in and that we all should be interested in is the purchasing power benefit. And for our oldest and neediest members, again, there is a vested way to improve that benefit. And for those that retired before 99, 2000, we have some of our oldest and neediest members that we could be helping. And hopefully, this committee will consider that and again, give it time and I hope that we can improve it. So anyway, thank you and good luck.
Thanks. Ed?
Okay, yeah, just in response to those two concerns, just to remind the committee that the committee will be evaluating the lump sum death benefit in April when it considers all the rates. It's an annual requirement that they do that. As far as the issue around the benefits for those who retired before 1999, that is actually a study that we are currently undertaking, and we'll be presenting the results. I believe it's in June, but it's certainly next year in terms of the results of the adequacy of the benefits paid to those people retired before 1999.
What committee is that going to be
In
presented?
Benefits and
In Benefits and Services?
Yeah, it's in April, in June, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ed. All right, seeing no other members from the public, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.